Yes, we are.
Elena,
We are. It's a recording.
Oh, there it is. Perfect. Thank you so much. And now it's 6:38 p.m. This meeting has started. It's in session. So President Vijay Ramjan, I am here. First Vice President Barbara Williams, she's excused, but she may join later on. She's not here. Second Vice President Elena Emanova.
I'm here.
Recording Secretary Erica Coop.
Present.
Treasurer Andy Medes King. Treasurer Andy Medes King. Treasurer Andy Medes King. Okay, not excused. Members Ted Chang.
Here.
Members Michael Morrison.
Here.
Member Robert Tamayev. Member Robert Tamayev. Member Robert Tamayev. Okay, not excused. Member Howard Pollock.
Present.
Thank you, Howard. Members Rajwinder Kaur.
Present.
Thank you so much. So again, welcome to CEC28 calendar meeting for April 2021. We want to welcome all of you who are equal stakeholders in our community. We have a very nice program today. We have someone, we have good reporting today, and we want to thank all of you for joining us today in the spring break. We are glad that you are here either way. At this point in time, we're going to move it right along. Dr. Pate has a prior commitment that she will be joining us later on, but we want to get through our program, and we'll just call upon our speakers when we get there. So at this point, I'm going to reach out to all of our CEC members to ask them if they have any reports for us, and just let us know if you do. Barbara Williams is not here. Elena Amenova, anything to report?
Just continuing to attend the school's SLT meetings and engaging virtually and remotely with our school communities as much as possible. Obviously, during the spring break, there are actually some schools that are doing virtual events, and that's great to see. I know even one of the schools that I support is doing ELA and math test preps during the spring break, so that's great to see as well. And we look forward to further engaging with our school communities. Thank you all.
Thank you so much, Elena. Erica Cooper.
Yes, hi, welcome everybody. I had the pleasure of attending the SLT meeting for Metropolitan Mel's and Principal Mr. McCord and Mr. Patrick Finley. Thank you again for having me there. I think it was great to hear that they're making 10 years at Mel's, and they are already on point as far as changing the mission of the school, their statement, their vision, and to include the diversity plan and an equity plan. So they have identified some teams to help with the equity in the school. So I thought that was very proactive for them, especially we know the plan for the District 28 to be more diverse. So I just want to again say that it's great to hear all the stuff that the school is doing. So thank you.
Thank you, Erica. I noticed Andy Medes King is here. Thank you, Andy, for joining with us. Do you have anything to report, Andy?
Yeah, I have a lot of stuff to report. The stuff that I had to report is that finally with the COVID-19 easing up, a lot of children got letters to get into college. That's one. There would be a lot of children that really cannot afford it that will be get waiver to get scholarship because of the SAT scores that are waived. We got many more children into college basically. So that is basically what my report is.
Thank you, Treasurer Andy Medes King, for being here. I know you're at work right now, but thank you for making the extra to still be here, and you're somewhere on the ground in the train tunnels. Thank you for being here. We appreciate your presence. Members Ted Chang, anything to report? Not the resolutions, but there's anything to report?
I'll save it for the resolution. Thank you.
Thank you. Member Michael Morrison?
Nothing to report, Vijay. Thank you.
Thank you, Micah. Did Robert join us as yet? No? Okay. Member Howard Pollock, anything to report?
Thank you, Vijay. I had the pleasure of attending PS174 SLT and was welcomed very nicely as always by Principal Kelly, doing a remarkable job. A pleasure to be part of that every month. Also attended SLT for PS101, Principal Paniagua. Always nice to hear what they have planned and plan to attend even more as the months go on. Thank you.
Thank you, Howard. Rajendra Kaur, member Rajendra Kaur.
Good evening, everyone. Nothing much to report, but as of a good news, at the same time that the parents are giving opportunity to choose the opt-in window again, I myself also have opted in for my 2 kids, excited and nervous too. So hope for the best and good luck to everyone who's have opted in the person. Thank you.
Thank you so much. So without further ado, thank you members for all the hard work that you're doing. We're going to move right along to Principal Jamie Dubey of Q310 Queens Collegiate. I had the pleasure of visiting her school before the pandemic, and wow, what a building, what a size of a building, and so much to do. But thank you for the hospitality as always, and thank you for giving me a grand tour. So at this time, Principal Jamie Dubey, go ahead, please.
Thank you so much. I'm honored to be here. I'm a parent of 3 New York City school children, and I actually live in District 28 and have children in District 28 schools. So I'm honored to be a principal here as well. I'm the principal of Queens Collegiate, a college board school. We are on the Jamaica High School campus. So some brief data about us. We have about 659 students in grades 6 through 12. Currently, 159 of them are taking advanced placement courses licensed by the College Board, and 50 are taking College Now courses. 55 of our students are enrolled with Queens Community House. We're on an 13-acre campus with 4 schools and 28 sports teams in a non-COVID year. So it's quite an amazing place to be. Our blended reopening has gone very smoothly. All year, we have had a very smooth year despite all of these ups and downs and changes. We built our program in a way that it could expand like an accordion, where all of our children can have their needs met, and we can accommodate blended, partially blended, fully remote, all in that way. And so our students, we have, I'll just show you the calendar really briefly. So we have an ABC schedule, and some of our classes alternate. It's part of our mission and vision that we take every child in the district who wants to come without any reservations. We make sure that they are ready for college or career by the time they graduate. And we believe in the holistic education. And so we have arts and PE and a number of electives every term. And so for 7 years, a child will have a number of different art forms, a number of different electives, and a great experience. In terms of our blended reopening, we have 83% of our students on 100% remote. Our community was hit very hard by COVID, with a large number of caregivers being impacted by COVID. And so we have wanted to make sure that the remote was very robust, and we have daily instruction for every class every day. We have 17% of our children registered for blended, and about 9% attended come the last week of March. So about 65 students. We find that in the middle school, more of the children attend. In the high school, they kind of come in, they'll come out, but they're always logging in online for the classes as well. We are offering families 2 different choices for blended because of the large impact COVID has had. Many of our families are very concerned about risk and about having their child travel on the city buses, city subways to get to our school 5 days. And so right now, of those 97 students, 40 children come in every day, and 57 of our students only come in on the days that their official teachers of record are there. In this accordion with the number of different things that we needed to accommodate in terms of math, science levels, making sure that everybody had the course that they needed to graduate and accelerate. We have the teachers on a rotation. And so 57 of our students just come in on those days and they work remotely the others. It gives them a good balance of both worlds. I just checked the numbers today. As of today, an additional 50 students have opted in. And so we are working to bring them back as soon as we can, so that way they are integrated into the blended as well. At QC, relationships matter, and we really commit to not disrupting relationships wherever possible. So this year we have managed to not change classes for children in this because of the accordion program. That way, when they build a relationship with a teacher, they keep that relationship. And so it doesn't, go in and out based on, changes, rather they have something to hold on to. And those teachers check in with them, they do wellness checks, we do monthly surveys asking the students how are they doing and what needs changing, and we adapt. And so some of the things that we've developed as a result of their feedback is circles. We have a team of high school students who are in training to be circle keepers. And so they facilitate discussions amongst their peers, or they're being trained right now. Our staff members are holding circles with students, staff, and community members. And our PTA has a monthly circle for our parents to discuss what's going on in the community. This is in addition to the PTA meeting and any other calendar meetings that they hold. We have Wisdom Wednesdays. We have a large partnership to become a trauma-informed school, which I was pushing pre-COVID. We have a partnership with the Jewish Board, a school resource clinician, and with Queens Hospital Center. And so these are opportunities for our students virtually to connect. And so we are responding to the xenophobia during coronavirus. We are having discussions about change and loss during COVID and the things that are important and critical for our students. And they can also go to weekly yoga sessions or other, connection points for them to take care of themselves. Fun matters at QC. You can see here some pictures of one of our Foodie Fridays. We decided we don't need to watch HGTV and the Food Network. We run our own. And so every Friday we have a food competition on Zoom. I made crepes. Mr. Sklar made some chicken parmesan. One of our students made smoothies the other night. And our students are really getting into it. We have 15 other clubs. We have movie nights and themed months. Every single week, there's at least 3 events in the evening for students to pipe in, because we know that that's when they're awake and really looking for that connection. And we just developed a student facilitated Discord channel, which is an online way for them to chat in a safe way and still be kids. We also offer academic programs. We realize that academics are important. And for those that need tutoring, we have a full-fledged tutoring program, including 10 student tutors who are currently working with 30 students. We have about 60 students getting weekly tutoring through QC, and a number being serviced through Queens Community House, in addition to the other services within the school. We held a Spring Break Academy this week. 177 of our students were invited. As of yesterday, I was on vacation most of this week, but as of yesterday, the number was that 92 had attended, and a number of our students are cleaning up those NXs in the high school or getting caught up in the middle school on ELA and math. And we did it in a way that if I only needed to come in for one class, I was only coming in one day, which gave me the rest of the vacation, which was important. And then we communicate with our families. It's really important for us to communicate in their language and in their way. So there's a number of different ways that we do that. So that's a little bit about what's going on at Queens Collegiate. I just got word that we're having 12 sports for the high school reopen as we come back, and I'm very excited about that. I'll turn it over back to you, VJ.
Thank you so much. What you're doing and all the work that you're leading. And I know you took for this school there and you just went running with it. And from when we met and spoke the last time, the amazing work that you do, it doesn't come just like that, right? It takes an extra level of commitment, something that you have shown and proven, and we appreciate you.
Thank you.
Appreciate you. And thanks for being here in the middle of spring break. We appreciate that. Thank you so much.
No problem.
Further ado, we're going to be asking now this time. We're going to be having here our Queens South High School Superintendent, Cynthia Schneider, who will present at this time.
Hello, good evening. A big, happy, wonderful holiday week and spring break to you all. And it's just so good to see all of your faces today. Jamie, Principal DeBay, is one of our best principals in all of the Queens South High Schools. I gave a shout out to her in the chat because she is very successful, and probably something that a lot of people don't know is what a great mentor she is for future principals. Her assistant principals are ready to go should openings happen and come up and that they apply for. She's an excellent mentor. And as we try to work on the leadership pipeline in Queen South High Schools, she's an excellent example of what's happening throughout Queen South High Schools as we get ready to move forward, because we are moving forward. With the reopening on the 22nd, we knew, because of the examples from elementary and middle schools that had opened before high schools, we were aware of the challenges that were coming, and our high schools were ready to go. There were no issues whatsoever in that first week. I'm very glad to relate. And everything went very smoothly and seamlessly from full remote to blended and remote. And that was a very good thing. One of the things that we're trying to work on as we move fully into this last part of the year, April, May, and June are extremely important months. And Principal Dubé has pointed out what a lot of our high schools did over spring break, and that is run spring break academies so that kids can get caught up and so they can move forward. High schools are a different breed of animal than elementary and middle school. The challenges are very different when we talk about bringing them all back to the building, because with the social distancing constraints, it means staffing issues, it means space issues. And our principals have just been really thoughtful and careful in how they bring students back. As you could tell from Principal Dubé's numbers, the majority of our students in Queens South High Schools are remote, with very few coming in for blended. We're finding overall, since the learning preference reopened, that we have added roughly 3,000 kids across the entire high school portfolio. And basically you break that down by 29 high schools, and we're somewhere around 100 new kids per. And that, that's going to vary in space to space, but all the principals are ready to bring back in whoever wishes to come back in. We know that the state will be coming out at some point. We expect it fairly soon, with updating social distance numbers, or the distance. The CDC came out with 3 feet. We've been following the 6-foot guideline. So when they come up with, okay, now you can bring them in by 3 feet, we're talking about increasing numbers again. But the learning preference, the new learning preference opt-in ends on Wednesday. So if you know of anybody who wants to opt their kid from remote to blended, to get that request in as soon as possible. We've been focusing on three major things as we go to reopening and as we think about ending the year. We know that we have to work on and use this ending of the year and Sorry, my flailing hands accidentally hit the button. So we know that we're focusing on 3 major things as we look forward to the end of the year and looking forward to summer school. And that, first of all, we're looking at reconnection, making sure that the kids who have and the families who have chosen to come back to school do so. By and large, they do so to reconnect, and they're reconnecting with the building. Many of our 9th graders have really never spent much time in the building at all. And so there's that reconnection. It's bringing kids back so that they can feel connected to the staff and the teachers that they knew before they were out of the building for a year. And it's most important in maintaining and rebuilding the culture of the school. You know, what are the rituals and routines? What are the standards under which we operate? What is it that we do at Queens Collegiate versus what do we do at Rockaway Park and across the entire Queens South district? So that reconnection is very important. We're also looking at spending a good deal of time talking about re-engagement. We know a lot of our kids had trouble learning remotely. The motivation wasn't there. The follow-up maybe wasn't there with them in the way that they're used to. So we're looking to move students forward very strategically in every single building. We're moving them forward so they can catch up. We're moving them forward so they can accelerate. And that includes, you know, meeting graduation requirements. It includes credit accrual. It includes being ready for whatever assessments are coming our way from the regents. We know it's only going to be 4 exams and no other, but we want to make sure that kids are confident coming back and that everyone understands that the spring assessments are, it's like a tack on a map, right? This is going to tell us where our students are right now, so that come summer school, come the fall, we'll have a much better idea of where students are in at least those few areas that were tested. We're also talking to the schools about doing their own testing, common assessments across the school, common assessments across the high school portfolio. So we have a very clear idea of where our kids are, what they need, either to catch up or to move forward. We also know that this is a very important time for reflection. So we've had reconnection, we're talking about re-engagement, but we're also talking about reflection. Our kids have a lot to say, and student metacognition, thinking about their thinking, is really crucial at this time. What did they learn through their remote experience? What did they learn in coming back to school? Or what is it that they've discovered about themselves and their own personal learning styles, and what it is that they need to do? But we have to mind that. Kids just don't come up to people and say, well, I learned that I really need to write things down more. They're not going to come up and tell us that unless we ask them. So we're focusing a lot this ending part of the year and really getting kids to metacognitively consider where they are now compared to where they were when we began, where they are now compared to where they want to be, and what are some of the things that they're going to have to work on in order to get further faster, because that's really what it's about. We want to take them as far as they can go, as quickly as they can, in ways that are best suited for them. So it's student metacognition is very, very important, and we're going to be spending a lot of time looking at that. The second thing is metacognition for teachers. The reflective practitioner is really important. It's difficult when you're being hit with things every single day and things change weekly or they change monthly. Teachers have been fantastic warriors in this time, because they've had to do things they've never had to do before, and they've had to do it in ways they never had to do before. And we know from some of the events that we have run at the district level how very difficult that is, to manage and keep track of everybody. And so it's very important that we have everybody reflecting on what they're thinking, that they think about where they are now and where they want to go. And that includes teachers. So our goal is always to improve improve teacher practice, so we have greater student achievement. And we want teachers to think about it in those ways. We know that breakout rooms and small group instruction have been really crucial during this time. We know that ed tech has been important and they're learning a lot. but we're really also focusing on increasing reading, writing fluency. Literacy across the content areas at no other time has been more important. So those are the things that we're working on immediately. And as we plan for summer school and buildings to open for summer school and reopening in the fall, it's very exciting given everything that we've learned, everything that we've been thinking about, both on the district level and at each individual school. And you know that with really talented and thoughtful principals like Ms. DeBay, we know that we're going to have a lot to say about what this experience has meant. I know I've been writing about it a lot, and our principals are too. So we're excited about that. We're excited about our students and what they are going to be writing about this experience so we can learn from them. If anyone have any questions, you can put it in the chat. You can ask me, but I'm done. Thank you.
Thank you so much for coming on and agreeing to be back again in 1 year with us. Our team and our community loved your presentation last time because they're so informative and you bring us everything that's relevant and we need to know in a very concise and very great manner. Thank you so much for all that you do, Mr. Schneider. And again, once we have more, while CEC28, my dear friends, only focuses mainly on elementary and middle schools, we do have approximately 6 schools who do have high schools in them also. Right? So there are 6 to 12 schools. So that's why it's important also to have the superintendent from the high school side to join us that's here to also provide information. And also many of you may have kids who are in elementary school or middle school or in high school. So it's all like Elena, for example, right? So thank you so much. And I learned a new word today, metacognition. Thank you so much, right? I put the definition on the chat here for those of you who want to know. I'm gonna ask my kids, how was your metacognition today? Amazing. Thank you so much. And we'll take questions after. Again, if you want to ask a question later on or make a comment to all of our presenters or any of them, please put the word speak on the chat and our team is monitoring that and they will take your name down. So please, again, Erica Cooper, you want to give us a little thing about the chat, please? So many of you may have noticed that this time around, this week here, our CEC agreed to enable the chat feature again for our meetings. And I see Harris Khan and everyone else, they all put in their piece already in there, which is amazing. So Erica, just tell us some things about the chat. Go ahead.
Yes, hi, everyone. As you know, we did have a incident with Zoom bombing and some things that weren't being said nicely in the chat room, so we had to disable it. But as well as the District 28 has done, we have made ways to improve on that and to prevent that from happening. Therefore, we had opened up the chat room again. So we're asking that everyone exercise good manners. Be respectful. Think before you say something. And when you do say something, just remember to be polite. Thank you.
Thank you so much, our recording secretary, Erica Cooper. She's monitoring the chat. And if we do see, we reserve the right that if the chat does become too, in a situation that we don't think is conducive to what we're doing here, we will definitely remove the chat if we have to do so again. But thank you all. And thank you, Harris Khan from the Controller's Office for being here. He's always at our meetings every month. And we appreciate you being here to give us your support. And thank you for being here, Harris. Really quickly, my friends, we're going to continue on with our presenters. We have the director, or we have a senior director of admissions office of student enrollment, and Danielle Hildreth will be presenting now. Danielle, can you please unmute yourself and you can present at this time. While Danielle gets ready, I know Dr. Page just joined us. Dr. Page, thank you for being here. I know you have a busy day and we're happy you're here. We'll have you go after Danielle is finished. So I don't
see Danielle in the room.
He's not on. That's fine. That's totally fine. So
Dr. Peter, I made you a co-host.
Oh, thank you so much. Okay, so this time, my dear friends, before we bring in the 113 present to present, we're gonna have our member Ted Chang, who was the sponsor, and myself and Rajwinda are co-sponsors of this anti-Asian violence, requesting more education on racism. It's a resolution that CEC28 wants to have a vote on tonight. So we'll ask Ted Chang to really present, at this point, present this resolution. Ted Chang.
Thank you, Vijay. Let me share my screen for those who don't have the resolution in front of them. I'm gonna put it up there so folks can see it. So, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to sort of, present a lot of the material that's in the resolution, but I'll just kind of try to give it in a speech format. So basically what happened was a year ago in March 2020, I was, the pandemic was just starting to get off the ground, and I was hearing some really inappropriate language at the national level. And quite frankly, I was angry about it, and I didn't know what to do. But I could tell that coronavirus rhetoric at the national level was stoking the flames of xenophobia against Asian Americans. And so I started a conversation about what to do about it. One conversation led to another, and that effort ultimately culminated in an open letter led by the Coalition for Asian American Children and Families that denounced the repeated use of the phrase Chinese virus, which is a phrase that stigmatizes Americans who appear East Asian. Many organizations that support Asian Pacific American communities signed on to that letter. But what's interesting is also signing on to that letter was a multiracial and intersectional coalition of organizations that support communities of color, women and girls, people of diverse sexual orientations, and other groups, all of which remember being at some point at the powerless margins of society. And so that's, to me, it was just a really important statement about intersectionality and solidarity. Now, our representative, Grace Meng, who represents part of District 28, introduced House Resolution 908, condemning all forms of anti-Asian sentiment as related to COVID-19. And 21 Democratic members and 1 Republican member of the New York delegation supported this resolution, including members of the Congressional Asian Pacific American Caucus, Congressional Black Caucus, Congressional Hispanic Caucus, the Bipartisan Task Force for Combating Anti-Semitism, the Congressional LGBT Equality Caucus, and the Congressional Progressive Caucus. 5 Republican members of the New York delegation opposed it, including Representatives Peter King and Lee Zeldin, who are just a little ways away here in Long Island. And later, 23 out of 23 Democratic governors and 2 out of 27 Republican governors condemned the racism and violence, saying we must do more to protect, lift up, and support AAPI communities. And while there has been this unfortunate split among elected officials, dozens of Asian Americans who have served in top roles across 6 Democratic and Republican presidential administrations have said that they strongly denounce the alarming increase in violence, rhetoric, and bigotry against the AAPI community, showing that this is an issue that unites Asian American leaders. And so it has been heartening for me to see ordinary people participate in rallies and oppose coronavirus racism and showing up in person and speaking out with their voices. The education of children needs to be part of some sort of long-term solution to these really deep issues of racism in our society. We need to educate all children so that as adults, they understand how to contribute to an inclusive society, free of anti-Asian violence and similar harms. Now, it's important to remember that the unbridled pursuit of racial self-interest without consideration for other groups is at the core of white supremacy. Terrible violence has come out of these patterns of thinking. There are so many examples of history, but just off the top of our heads, we can think of self-interested colonialism and imperialism that was over races perceived as primitive. We have American slavery and Jim Crow, and we have the decimation of the Jewish communities during the Holocaust. In all these cases, missing was a concept of racial equity for the marginalized. And so when we discuss our Asian American vulnerability, what we see here is our own situation here demonstrates how conditional and tenuous the position of any group in society can be. And so I want to encourage all of us that are here listening, don't get too comfortable in a middle-class job and a nice little place you call home, because everything can change in a moment. And if we don't know that, we haven't been reading enough history books. Without a broad societal commitment to racial equity, no community is safe. I want to thank those who have done their small part to oppose anti-Asian coronavirus racism. Signing a petition, attending a rally. I spoke at a rally in Manhattan on Saturday. There was one in Forest Hills on Friday, and there have been many others like it. The audiences have been incredibly diverse and honor our long history of Black, Indigenous, Latinx, and Asian solidarity, together with support from Jewish and white allies. To fight racism, we must fight this together. We must show up for each other, and at one rally say, "Stop Asian hate." And then at the next rally say, "Black Lives Matter." Let's honor the original homelands of the Algonquin-speaking Native peoples who were nourished at Flushing Meadows and Beaver Pond before us. Let us tell Latino and Latina students who looked up in pride at a chancellor who was one of them, or now to a US Secretary of Health and Human Services, and say to them, "Sí se puede." And in solidarity with our Jewish communities, let us say never again and commit to learning history and its lessons, even when they are inconvenient. And to be honest, I don't know all the other different types of social justice calls and cries that are out there. We have so many different communities, just religious communities alone, Christian, Muslim, Hindu, Sikh, and Buddhist communities. There's just so many communities to name. We live in the most diverse borough of the city. But let's learn the issues of each community together and stand in solidarity with all groups and their struggles when they face marginalization. And to those in white communities who have stood by the marginalized as allies, we thank you. A melting pot of communities collaborating and supporting each other, that is the aspirational ideal of an inclusive America that many of us hold. Even if, as a community, we still have a lot of work to do to achieve that ideal. We need less scarcity thinking, the idea that helping one community is a threat to another. And to get to this sacred ideal, we need to develop more solidarity thinking. We need productive cross-racial dialogue to build solidarity, understanding, and real relationships between diverse communities so that we are invested in each other's welfare. Math and ELA are very important, but our children also need to learn about themselves in the context of history. So let's teach them the histories of Asian Americans and other communities. Teach kids about what's happening now, coronavirus racism, social justice movements like Stop Asian Hate activism, the difference between racial self-interest and racial equity, how to recognize racist ideas and thought patterns, critical thinking skills so they know how to recognize racial fear and fear-mongering, and how to speak out for themselves or for any group against marginalization or exclusion. Because racism is a virus and public education must play an important part in solving this problem. So now I want to acknowledge my colleagues, Rajwinder Kaur and Vijay Ranjatan, both of whom are on the Equity Committee and who are co-sponsoring this resolution with me. If one of them would like to speak, I'll just mention briefly that the public has an opportunity to comment in a little bit and in the public comment section, and then the council will vote after public comment. Thank you.
Thank you, Ted, and you can stop sharing at this time. I'll ask Rajwinder Kaur, do you have any remarks on this resolution, Rajwinder?
Yes, good evening, everyone. Just want to let everyone know that I totally agree with Ted. We need to educate people, especially the kids. They should know about the history. I don't know how many of us know about the religious garb bill, which was passed in August 2019, which, you know, our high authorities have accepted that, irrespective of the caste, color, especially their, you know, the way of dress. We cannot say that you cannot be given the particular job. Even they understand that why can't we educate our kids, our society, where we are living, where we are growing, which is our future. So we should guide them. And day before yesterday, there was again a hate crime. A 65-year-old lady, Asian lady, was brutally hit in Manhattan. Again, so we need to stop this. We are living in New York City, where more than 190 plus countries people are living, irrespective of their caste, color, language. 800 plus languages they are speaking. We need to understand. We need to educate everyone, not only the kids, even our own society people. So let's get together and work on it. Thank you.
Thank you, Rajwinder. And all I would say is that an attack on one is an attack on all, right? And we are Queens. We are District 28. And when we saw the rise in violence against Asians, immediately I thought of writing a resolution, and then Ted told me he's almost halfway through one already. I'm like, well, I'll just go sponsor yours. You know, but either way, this CEC, my dear friends, my community, we are listening, we are hearing, and we are going to respond to the things we have to respond to as a CEC and have the voices of our parents heard and our community heard. And we are grateful to all the members of this council for always standing up for what's right. And today, later on in our business meeting, we'll be voting on this resolution to have it passed. And our members will get a chance to vote on this resolution. And then we will send it across the city, across the country, to everywhere to let them know District 28's voice is a voice to be listened to. So we are here with Dr. Pate and the entire team to do the right thing. So Ted, thank you so much. And later on, community members, please put the word speak in the comment section. If you want to speak later on or make a comment, you'll have 3 minutes to do so. And we're going to move right along. Thank you, Ted. And thank you, Rajwinder. So right before I call our next speakers, we're going to ask Mr. Harris Khan, who's going to control his office, just to say a quick hi really quickly.
Hi, Vijay. Thank you so much for having me here. It's always a pleasure to be here at CEC28. Don't tell the other CECs I said that, but probably my best CEC that I cover for the office. I really hope this is not being recorded. I'm gonna get in big trouble with the boss, but no, it's always a pleasure, and thank you to Ted for those powerful words and to introduce this resolution and have this discussion here. I know the controller stands with all of you on this issue, and you know, we've just been in the office just really heartbroken over the past month, and it's not going away. In fact, Stella's recording it. It's not going away. It's only getting worse. So it's going to take more of us to have these conversations. It's going to take more work, and it's going to take people like the controller and other elected officials to turn this into policies. And you should be hearing stuff. And you already know the work he's done on educational curriculum in our schools, from Holocaust education to other. But yeah, I want to make sure everybody knows that we're here in the office, happy to assist with also constituent cases. And so I've dropped my contact in the chat. Feel free to call or email, and we'll get onto that. So if there's any city agencies that have any issues, or if this issue itself, if you're facing this issue itself, you know, there's the city's Human Rights Commission. There's also the police department, of course. There's avenues to address things. And so feel free to reach out to me. Always here to help. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Harris. And he always comes to our meeting. Harris, please put your contact information and the controller's office information there so our team or community can contact the office should they have any questions, concerns, or comments to be made. We have a lot of secrets to keep because everyone says we're the best CEC, so I have a lot of secrets to keep, right? Shh, don't tell anyone that, right? Moving right along, my dear friends, we have the 113 precinct. So when we were planning this month's meeting, well, our goal was to try to get speakers to come and speak about the city's response about towards the rise in hate crimes that's happening, and also the NYPD to speak about what they as a unit have been doing. And we're so honored to have from the 113 precinct, my precinct, which is right on the block from me, the officers Brianna Soto and Officer Jermaine Washington, who will speak at this time. Officers, please.
Hey, good evening, everyone. How you doing?
Hi, everybody. How you doing? I'm Officer Soto.
And I'm Officer Washington. I'm great and glad to be here. We got to give you guys a shout out for something. We attend a lot of Zoom meetings. This is probably one of the most well-organized Zoom meetings we've ever attended. We're taking a lot of notes because we're going to harass our community council and say, look, you got to be like these guys. So the next one you have, we're going to probably invite them just to sit in on it, right? So we are the community affairs officers for the 113th precinct. Basically, we are public relations / crisis management, right? That's basically what we do. When it comes to the protests and the riots, we're on the front lines trying to make everything calm down. And when it comes to just being the face of the precinct, that's what we actually do. In terms of the Asian hate crime that occurs now. So I know that's the hot button item for now, but in reality, you know, we've been experiencing and dealing with hate crimes of all different types of ethnicities. I mean, that's just, you know, we deal with crime. So this is something that we deal with. So this is just looped into the fact that this is just a scourge that we have to deal with in general, right? The NYPD, so just to give you some stats on our precinct, even though we have, I guess, different groups moving in now, the 113 precinct is still 95% what I call Pan-African, you know, population. So it's African-American, Caribbean American, and Indo-Caribbean American, right? So it's still about 95%. So we have a very, very, very small percentage that's Asian American. Well, actually, you know what? I got to correct myself, right? And this is, so when you say Asian American, you include an Indian. So, you know, now I have to separate it to when I mean China and East Asian, I should say. You know, we have a small percentage, but those East Asians that have businesses, myself as Community Affairs Officer Soto, and I'm also the Crime Prevention Officer. We visit the businesses and we speak to them. But the one tip I'm gonna give you before we give you the number to our task force is, if you are East Asian and you know everyone has their community, their outreach, their Facebook groups and everything, speak to them and let them know that, one, when it comes to immigrants, we always have to say this: the police department does not care about your immigration status. That is not our job. We don't care about it. All we care about is if a crime occurs to you, we want to solve it. We want to bring those people to justice. So we need them to make the reports. Don't feel no kind of way about making reports. And there's different ways you can do it. You can call 911. You can come to the precinct. You can speak to your clergy, and they could be an intermediary to make that report. But you need to make the report, and you also have to say, if, let's say you are attacked, you have to let the officers know then that, you know, listen, they called me a racial slur at the same time they did that. That's what changes that assault from just an assault to a hate crime, right? Or if they specifically targeted you, not just because it happened to you, it's because they said something or they did something in conjunction with that. So a resource that we're going to give is the NYPD has a hate crime task force. The mayor talked about actually establishing an Asian American task force, but this is the parent organization. So the phone number, and we will put it in the chat also, is 212-477-9879. That's 212-477-9879. We'll put that in the chat. And they're located at, which is so weird, 19 and a half Pitt Street, Manhattan, New York, 10002. I don't know what 19 and a half actually means, but I don't know, half of the building. I don't know what that is. So the response from the NYPD is that when it comes to hate crimes in my career, has always been extensive, right? We do extensive investigations, and if you notice, that old young lady, right, that individual had pushed down on Madison Avenue, I believe, they apprehended him the next day, and actually they got a dangerous person. He was actually on lifetime parole for murdering his mother. So, you know, and so we basically took a very dangerous person off the streets also who committed that crime against that Asian woman. So just in general, I'll be honest with you, anyone who's lived in New York over a period of time, you have to be aware of what's going on. You know, crime is on the rise. I don't care what the news media tell you. Violent crime is definitely on the rise in the whole. So you have to be aware yourself. You can't walk like you're in a bubble and nothing's going to happen to you. You have to practice common sense, crime prevention skills. I'll let Officer Soto speak because I'm just talking and I don't need to hear any problems from her. So
I mean, he basically covered all bases. As far as to touch base on what he said, as far as being aware of your surrounding, a lot of people when you're at the bus stops, you know, you try to, you know, now we have the mask on, so you may have headphones in, you're in your phones, you're looking at the GPS, you're moving around, you're not really focusing on the random person standing there or the random person who's been following you for the last 5 minutes down the street. Those are things you have to be very, very aware of. And even it's okay if, you know, a lot of people, they get nervous. They're like, oh, I don't want to call, you know, 911 because this person technically didn't do anything. If you feel in danger, it's okay to call 911. If you feel like somebody's been following me for the last 5 blocks or 5 minutes or whatever, you make a random turn, the person's still following you, it's okay to call 911. And if it ends up being nothing, cool. It may end up being something for somebody else and you just ended up not being the victim, but because you gave a description, now they can put that 911 call to something else that happened later on. And it's happened multiple times. So definitely, like he said, report it. If you know anybody who's going through anything such as a hate crime, who has experienced that, definitely encourage them to report it and really understand what the hate crime is. Like he said, if anybody says any racial slurs, that is a hate crime. Anything across the board, that is a hate crime. And you have to say it right then and there. A lot of times people try to, oh, it's not that serious. You know, they try to brush it off, but they don't want to, you know, they don't want to be attacked again because whatever reason they may feel, you know, the person may come back if they get caught. You know, they don't want any issues later on. That won't be an issue. You have to report it right then and there, because if you try to report it later on, it's going to be hard to find the person, to be honest. If it happens right then and there, you call 911, you put over a description, the person can't get but too far, especially if they're on foot. So it's just a lot of things that as a community, we have to continue, as you guys are doing here, which is a phenomenal job, just making everybody aware of, you know, what a hate crime is, things in the community that they need to, you know, inform each other about, and just continue circulating the, you know, the information. All right. So thank you guys for having us.
Thank you so much for both being here. And I'm so happy that we're in your office. That we, you know, you're at work and you're doing this extracurricular activity and all this, you get extra points. Dr. Pate, they get extra points for doing 2 things at once. Ms. Schneider, Ms. Dubé, they get 2 points, okay? Thank you for all the work that you do in the community. I know, we are partners with the NYPD in various forms, and you are partners in this community and stakeholders for our children, our parents, our community leaders, our teachers, et cetera, et cetera. I would say that our district, if you look at a map of our district, it stretches over all the way down to St. Albans, across the Van Wyck, all the way up to Forest Hills. And we cover a very large area that has a lot of population of East Asians. So, you know, we'll try to get all the other precincts also to come and speak on this topic also at our subsequent meetings. Thank you both for all you do, and we are grateful that you showed up tonight. Thank you.
No problem.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
So you put your information on the chat. Thank you so much. So without further ado, my dear friends, we have Dr. Pate, who is here tonight with us. We always, you know, she is one of, in my opinion, one of the best that we've had, and a great leader through this pandemic, and who continues to lead in so many different ways. And her vision is so broad, and her horizons are so broad, and we're so happy to have you here, Dr. Pate. I'll hand it over to you now, and you'll take over this part. Go for it.
Thank you so very much. I'm always like, well, who is that he's talking about? That is just, I'd like to meet that person. Anyway, I appreciate you so much. This is, in fact, the greatest CEC. Please understand, please know it. Go ahead and write it down. Just go ahead and write it down. It's okay. I have never seen advocacy at the level that we experience it here in this district. That is what you call empowered community, right? And that is what we need. And yes, we need it in District 28, but I declared that we need it all across the Department of Education, that there should be strength like this in every school district, where folk are empowered to speak truth to power and to put their pen to paper and create, our path forward as a more equal and more equitable society. And so it's a pleasure to be here. It's an honor to put my voice next to your own, and to continue this work alongside you. I'm going to try to be really brief because we do have hopefully our partner here to speak with us on today. Greg, I'm telling you, it's going to be like that short. So I'm hoping you're ready with your clicking finger. I also want to give a shout out to my dear colleague, Amy, Principal Dubai. It's such a joy to see your face. My goodness gracious, it's such a joy to see your face. It's such a joy. Okay, so let's go. I want to talk to you, and this is hot off the press. Here's what I did. I didn't even build the PowerPoint for this. I had a meeting today, and so it was timely, and I thought a really, little fairy dust-ish that this meeting happened today, and we're having CEC. So today I met with our pre-K and 3K enrollment folk, as you all know, and I'm gonna show you, these are my actual notes that I took during the meeting, and I just blew up this section. I bulleted, so I'm going to share screen, and you'll see this is my note page, and these are the notes that I took while we were involved in that meeting. So I told you sometimes my transparency gets me in a lot of trouble. It is what it is. I've got to believe that the universe will take care of me. So I just want to show you this one page because I just want to talk through. And this is how I take notes. I have a month-long document, and every day I meet and I take notes all day long. And so this is what we discussed during that meeting today. As you know, our mayor did announce that 3K would be true for every district in the New York City Department of Education. There are approximately 17 districts that do not currently have 3K programs across the district. District 28 is one such district. And so 3K is coming. We normally, in my experience, 3K rollout takes a year. It takes outreach, it takes engagement, it takes scoping buildings, it takes there's a lot of prep work involved in opening pre-K, 3K programs across in schools. This is fast track because the mayor says it's fast track. And so we are behind this and we are going to be pushing forward. Some things you should know about 3K. The ratio in 3K is 15 to 1 to 1, 15 students, 1 teacher, 1 paraprofessional. Our school, our district and districts across NYC will have a 6-hour and 20-minute day. That is to say your baby will be with us for an entire school day. I think that does something really positive for families. It will be challenging, obviously, for children. There are no toileting restrictions. There are no toileting restrictions. What does that mean? Your child does not have to be toilet trained in order to enroll in 3K. That is really good news. Bathrooms that are recommended in classrooms, but they're not necessary. So you should know that if your child attends a 3K program in a school and the classroom does not have a bathroom, or then they'll arrange to have space for the 3K programs, and we'll be able to take care of all of our children. We'll find a way, we'll make it work. I am going to be involved in those building walkthroughs and the conversations with every principal to identify space. Classrooms that don't have sinks will be outfitted with portable sinks. They'll need to order them. I've spoken to them about bulk ordering so that our schools in the district will have access to a portable sink. We obviously need anyone who's taking care of a 3-year-old. No, you need a portable, you need sink, you need running water. Central is going to streamline the enrollment process. Classrooms will be supported by the Division of Early Childhood, as well as teaching and learning and mental health and wellness teams. Classrooms will be placed on floors 1 through 3, no higher. FDNY will not allow us to place a 3K program higher than that. They've got little tiny legs and they move really slow, and we've got to make sure that we are able to move children in and out of the building quickly. For the most part, we're going to try within our district to keep them in floors 1 to 2, if at all possible. They will be placed in schools that currently have a pre-K program. We have a handful of schools, about 6 schools, that do not have pre-K. The priority will be set for schools that currently have a pre-K program because we'll be able to utilize some of that small people space that already currently exists in the pre-K sites. Right now, they are planning to put 15 new sections across the district. That could be assumed that it is 15 schools, but don't make that assumption. I asked 3 times during this meeting, does that mean that we're going to have a a 3K program in 15 of our schools? It took a lot to get them to answer, and that answer is no. The reason why that answer is no is because they're going to probably not, 1, put 3K into buildings where there is no pre-K, and 2, if there is no space in the school, if the school is so overcrowded that they cannot identify a space, they will not be able to put 3K. That is significant. That is significant. We have schools that are overcrowded. We have pre-K centers that are overcrowded. We have 3, and only 1 of our pre-K centers will get a 3K program because there's no room. We love District 28, and so does everyone else. Total seats is upwards of 225. That could move. That is a really, I think, a strong starting point for our district, that we will be able to offer upwards of 225 families a 3K seat. Obviously, we are focused in early learning, and obviously we're focused in getting families back to work as we are vaccinating, rolling out vaccine and getting folk out of these houses and back into the workplace. Principals will receive notification for 3K rollout in the coming week, and then targeted outreach to specific school leaders. So every principal in D28 will get notice about 3K expansion. And then those schools that are identified, and I'm in partnership with that identification, I will meet with them next week to discuss the schools that are being selected. Those principals will be contacted and have a one-to-one with the Office of Early Childhood. Teacher recruitment and hiring will get underway right now. I am really hoping that many of the substitute teachers that have been supporting us through the pandemic will also qualify, and will be able to bring folk in who are already in our school buildings. That will be best case scenario. Worst case scenario, I'm willing to go places and steal. Recruit teachers from other places. I have done it before, and I'm not afraid to do it again. But we are going to find highly qualified teachers, and we will roll out professional learning for 3K. Because we are jumpstarting an early literacy initiative in the district, which I'm going to talk about in 2 seconds, it is incredibly important that we have, teachers with muscle and qualification. Where we start matters. Where we start matters. And if we are going to move this district in the direction that I know it can go, we've got to begin earlier and earlier with building strong literacy. Furniture for pre-K will be centrally ordered. It's going to be bundled from school specialty. However, schools will have to wait until they get the additional funding from Central, and it's coming. We don't know when, probably late spring. Let's see. Zoning, things you should know. Areas with no seats because of overcrowding. There will be some limited ability for folk to go to other areas. We're going to prioritize zoning children who have siblings currently in a pre-K program in a district, followed by other students within the district, and so on and so forth. But we're prioritizing. So if your child is in a pre-K center, in some space, and a 3K seat opens up, we're going to try to prioritize you to have your younger child in that same school. Again, this is a central process. I'm going to put in the chat the phone number as well as the website so that you can begin the process of enrollment. And the enrollment window is now open. The application is open, so please take advantage of it. Pass the word along. It's spring break right now, which is why we have our numbers are a little lower today. But we're gonna continue to ripple out this information so everyone gets to know it and can begin their application process. So I'm sure that it will be listed on our CEC website. And we will radio this out to everyone. And so that's that announcement. I wanted to just, and Jay, if you wouldn't mind, if I could just speak really quickly about our CEC and the gift that was given to us in order to support early literacy.
Yes,
I know
please.
that you've already spoken about it. I want to introduce the organization that is going to help us spend your money. So our CEC, our amazing CEC, gifted to the district some funds, and we have been collaborating on how to utilize those funds, and it always at the beginning and the end of the day, it's about student learning. And those of you who know me know I'm one of those foundation building people. What does that mean? If we want to improve at scale and over time in a reliable way, we've got to ensure that the foundation is suited to produce that. I want strong fruit. I've got to make sure I've got strong roots, right? That's how that happens. That's the way it goes, right? As I'm struggling with that palm tree in my living room, and if anyone can help me figure out why it won't grow, please come over and help me. Anyways, I just had to make that public service announcement. Palm tree that's not doing well. Someone please help. So we believe that you have to build strong roots. And so in collaboration with our CEC, we did meet with and had a great meeting with our partners at Sound Reading. And I have Greg Hubble here and Ben Waxman, who supported me as a principal. He's got long roots in the Department of Education. But Greg is going to speak to us for a couple of minutes just about Sound Reading. It's really important that our CEC gets to know this organization and agrees to move forward with them. I don't take your gift lightly. I want to partner, and I want us to be able together to monitor the work that we are going to do around early literacy. And so I don't know if this is the right time, BJ, if you would like
Yes,
Greg to
yes,
present.
it is. It is.
And-
Understand, Greg.
and Greg.
You can unmute Greg. There you go. And Ben, I'll also unmute you at the end. So after Greg finish. Go ahead, Greg.
Thanks so much. Can you guys hear me? Well, first of all, it's an honor to be invited to share some of the stuff that Tammy's talked to you about. And I guess number one, I want to reassure all of you that we've been involved with New York City for some time, and we're trustworthy. So one of the, we're very cautious about the way that we approach the solution, and we really care. We really, when we are working with a school and things don't go exactly as expected, it really upsets us. We bend over backwards to do everything we can to make things go well. So the first thing is that there's a real culture within our company about making sure that the children that use our program really get the results. I personally got involved with Sound Reading when I was at Cornell, and I met the founder, who was a scientist, and he himself was a dyslexic, and he had put together this program, which was basically a collaboration of research on why this giant percentage of the population don't read well. And we have 25-30% of the population that struggle with English, and so he really attacked that problem. And I was especially interested because my own son was a struggling reader, and I had him evaluated, and literally within 2 months, he was reading at a substantially improved rate, and went from not liking reading to reading with passion and reading large books. So I got particularly interested in this company, and ended up becoming part of it for many years now. So sound reading, sound auditory, right? Sound reading means a good foundation, and it means auditory processing. So what we found was that despite all these wonderful reading programs that do a great job with books and leveled reading and some phonics even, that there's a big gap. There's this whole piece of auditory processing that is not included in what we have in our tool bag. And so sound reading is basically 30 different types of activities that were developed based on research, both from brain researchers and people in the speech therapy world. We pulled all these activities together into a program that is delivered online. Didn't start off online. It started off as a bunch of manipulatives and games that tutors would give to kids in the reading lab. But we turned it into a software program so that we could scale it and deliver it to many people. It's delivered online, so it's good in the school, it's good at home. The child can log in either location. So in a strange way, the pandemic has actually accelerated our business because people were already skeptical that these early learners would struggle with technology, right? I mean, it's hard to think that there's a solution out there that somebody who barely reads could use and it would teach them online how to read. But this is kind of a unique program that does that. And so it also is pretty easy for teachers to use. In like less than 1 hour, we can train them how to get the kids on the program. And it pretty much runs itself. I mean, the kids go at their own pace. Some go fast, some go slow, but they all get these 30 different types of activities, and we consistently see a substantial improvement in performance. So ideally all kindergartners and first graders and pre-K, I mean, this really belongs alongside of alphabetics. And that, if you really want to conceptually, if you had sound reading along with your ABCs, and then you went on to do whatever program came next, we would see a giant improvement in performance in America. So I think that's kind of what you can expect from us. I want to turn it over to Ben, who's been a good partner for us since we came inside of New York City, helped us figure out how to get the program adopted. And Tammy, I did send you a presentation from District 27 that if you want to share that, it's a pretty impressive result that showed both ELL students and general ed students that were struggling with reading, and a pretty consistent across the board, a couple of grade level improvements in each of those classrooms. That was PS 60. That's Frank Tesario's school. And so and I think actually some of your principals might have actually met the teacher that put that together for us. Ben, I'll turn it over to you.
I think that I can, I don't know if you're hearing me.
Yes, we can hear you. Go ahead.
Yes, we can hear you. Okay. I'm Ben Waxman. I'm a former superintendent. I'm a former network leader. I'm a former principal, and all the way down the line, 50 years in education. I've never seen another program like sound reading, because what sound reading does is it addresses reading by way of the auditory channel. I don't know if you know it, but all of our teachers generally teach by the visual channel. Why? Because that's how they were taught. Most people are visual learners. If you are an auditory learner, it's very difficult to learn how to read visually. Think of it this way: language learning is auditory. Our kids learn much faster conversational English when they don't speak English. They learn conversational English a lot faster. Why? Because it's auditory, and a lot of them are auditory learners. What sound reading does is goes ahead and deals with reading by way of that auditory channel. So a child that's having trouble learning to read visually, this is another approach, and this approach tends to work well because our children, more now than ever before, are auditory. Just ask them what the words to a rap song are, and they'll tell you all those words. That's an auditory situation. And so sound reading improves reading because of working in that auditory channel. That's all I need to tell you. If it were my child, I'm an auditory learner. So I know that I didn't learn to read until 2nd grade myself for that exact reason. What we can do is head off this problem of our children by also not exclusively using auditory, but also using auditory. And sound reading takes 20 minutes a day, period, on the computer, and it's easy to arrange. I tell my principals, have the children on sound reading come in 20 minutes early, sit at a computer, work at a computer. Those records get sent to their teacher. Their teacher can go ahead and address any issues that they find. Thank you, folks.
Thank you, Ben. Thank you, Gregory, for being here. Dr. Pate, go ahead.
Thank you. So we are going to, we're working with sound reading, and we've identified some of our schools, including our 3 pre-K centers, to build sound reading into our daily programs. We're serious about building literacy skills in our youngest scholars because we want to set them up for success. I have used the program in the past in my previous position in the Bronx, and we just have we experienced such great success with it. It's just another modality. It's another way, another instrument, another tool to getting the job done and to elevating our work with regard to our students. And so again, we want to be good stewards of the gift that you've given us. And we could do a lot of things. We could have bought pencils and things of that nature. But I think that, you know, I like this basket. I like a literacy basket. And we believe that this additional support, everything else that they're getting stays. This additional support will really help us to catch any students that's maybe falling through the cracks. And we want to, you know, do right by our scholars, right? Use everything we've got, and to help them be prepared for a future that's changing really fast. The pandemic is kicking us into a whole other warp speed with regard to 21st, 20th century skill set. So we've got to get them ready. And that's our goal.
Thank you so much, Dr. Pate.
That's it. Thank you.
And thank you for introducing this program. Like we said, the CEC had extra funds this year left over because of the pandemic. We didn't use the funds for various reasons. And that extra funds, we could have given it to our district superintendent's office for her to determine how to use those funds where she sees best appropriate. And I'm grateful to our CEC members, all of us in the council who voted last time, to agree to give these funds to the superintendent's office. And we get ready. This is something that's happening already. She's trying to get this program on. I think it's amazing because it targets the foundation, right? From a very young age, and it could be transferred through across. And any will change that needs to happen should happen at the very basic, very early level of the child's life. Dr. Pate, thank you.
Thank you so much. I believe Daniel, yes, Daniel Hildreth
Yes,
is
I'm
here.
calling him next.
Yeah.
Yes, I call him next. Thank
You're muted, VJ.
Thank you, Ted. It happens. We never learn. So at this time, my dear friends, we have the Senior Director of Admissions from the Office of Student Enrollment, Daniel Hildreth, and he will speak at this time. Daniel, go ahead, please.
Hi, folks. Can you hear me okay?
Yes.
Great. Thank you so much for having me. I'm going to try to put my video on. My internet's a little sketchy in the evening, but thanks for having me. Thank you, Dr. Pate, and thank you, Vijay. My name is Daniel Hildreth. I work for the Office of Student Enrollment, and I'm here to talk about gifted and talented admissions. There have been some changes this year, and I want to be able to go over them with you all this evening. So you may have heard that the Department of Education has gone through a bidding process with the testing vendor and did not decide to move forward with the previous testing vendor. So what has happened here is the Department of Education has moved forward with a different admissions process for gifted and talented programs for the 2021 school year. Essentially what this means is that all students born in the year of 2016 are eligible to apply to a gifted and talented program this year. So right now the application is open. It's been open for approximately four weeks now. The deadline is next Friday, April 9th. And so really right now we are just speaking about students who are seeking placement in kindergarten for the fall of 2021. Families need to submit an application, and then that will trigger the next step of the process, which is the eligibility determination. This is when that child's pre-K teacher, if they're enrolled in a DOE pre-K program, will submit a nomination form. This form asks the teacher to answer some questions about the child's learning and the child's gifted characteristics to determine their eligibility to be considered for placement in one of these programs. If the child is not enrolled in a DOE pre-K program, they will be scheduled for a one-on-one interview with a member of the Division of Early Childhood Education. And this is not an interview with the child. This is an interview with the family. The child may be present. I'd like to think of this as a low-key interview, although my office is not performing the interviews. This is not an assessment on Zoom. This is not an assessment over a phone call. This is a conversation. So after either the child's teacher has submitted this form or the interview has been completed, then the child's eligibility will be determined after that step. And then that child will be considered for placement in the programs that they've listed on their application. Right now, I just want to give an overview of the timeline, and I'd rather spend time speaking with you and answering your questions, but we have the deadline next Friday of April 9th. After that point, families will either be scheduled for an interview or their child's teacher will be submitting that nomination form. That will take place from April into May. And then after that point, we will be issuing offers. Very likely this will take place into early July. We're going to work our hardest to try to get offers out as early as possible, maybe late June if we can, but right now we're looking at early July, and we're going to work as hard as we can. We have 4 programs in District 28, and I can speak to the names of those programs if those programs are not familiar to you all, but I assume they are. And you know, I want to just state that this is a one-year plan. This is a plan that was put in place to bridge the gap in between the tests no longer being available to the Department of Education and future plans where I believe under our new chancellor that we are going to be doing larger engagement around what gifted and talented means and how we can equitably admit students to these programs. And I have great hope for new beginnings in that process, but I want to be very clear that this is a stopgap measure, and this is a way that we can admit students into these programs, maintain those programs, and move forward with placing students for the fall. Do want to speak just briefly to grades 1 through 3, where previously we would have allowed students to take the test and apply if eligible for grades K through grade 3. This year, grades 1 through 3, we are not able to administer the test, obviously, but we've opted to use last year's wait lists for grades 1 through 3 to fill any available seats that may exist. Seats are limited in those grade levels, so there are not many seats in grades 1 through 3, and even less as you go up in the grades. 1, there are more, because the availability of seats in a first grade classroom increases from kindergarten. Grades 2 and 3, people tend to stay in these programs and the seats are limited. So we're using last year's waitlist for those grades. I think this, again, is a way to make ends meet for this year. Is it perfect? No. And we're trying to find a way to make this an equitable decision and a way to be flexible if we need to be within that. So very broadly, I want to say that families have a deadline of next Friday. They can apply, and then that nomination form, which will either be filled out by their pre-K teacher or through a virtual interview, will take place, and then we will make offers based on that information. I'm sure there are a lot of questions, so I want to kind of give as much room for that as possible. And again, thank you for having me tonight.
Thank you, Danielle. Thank you so much. So if you could stop sharing at this time, we'd appreciate it. Oh, thank you. There it is. Thank you so much. 1 second. I think you're still sharing.
I think I have audio.
Okay. Maybe you were pinned. Can we unpin him or something?
I did already.
Okay. So while we figure that out, so we had asked, there it is, perfect. So we had asked everyone to, if you want to say a few words, to please put the word speak in the chat section of our meeting tonight. And Elena, can you please call the first speaker, please? And Rajwinda, can you take time for us, please, tonight?
Yes, Simone Dornbach is first.
Yes, thank you.
Hi, good evening. I don't have much to say except of thank you to Ted and to the CEC. I'm just amazed to see, in comparison where the CEC was last year in the summer and where the CEC has moved now into this year, to see a commitment for more equity in our schools, and your commitment against race, for anti-racism. And I'm just very happy, and I want to encourage you to continue to do that. I love that you came up with resolutions. The last few resolutions, they were all very strong, and I'm very happy to see that. And for us as a community, I just want to say that we parents, we can also make sure that we talk to our children about what's happening right now. What has happened last year in the summer. I think these are really important conversations that we need to have. We cannot expect that our schools are the only place where this is happening. So we parents should also have the courage to have those tough conversations. And I think the CEC is giving us, is being a role model and just showing that it's important to have those conversations. So thank you for your commitment towards equity and towards anti-racism. I really appreciate it. Thanks.
Thanks, Simone. Elena, next person. Elena? I'll just call next. Are you hearing me? I know there's Susan Petza. Susan, can you please unmute yourself? And
yes, I'm here.
By Effie will speak after. And Elena, you can go and see if we miss anybody in between. Go ahead, Susan.
Okay, thank you very much. Thank you for having me speak, for being here in the first place. Thank you for this opportunity. I'm here today very shortly and briefly just to present mediation services that are free for the community, for school, for teachers, for parents. Overall, we work with mediation for all aspects, but I think that what is important here for you guys today, it's special education mediation that we offer. So I'm just going to put here my information on the chat, and please feel free to reach out to us at any moment that you might encounter some concerns or issues with parents, school, staff or anything that you might have an issue that you will want to resolve discreetly or, because it's confidential process, that you have this opportunity to do so. Thank you very much for allowing this time.
Thank you so much, Susan. I think we had Stella, you were next, and then Effie, you were after. Stella?
Thank you, VJ. My name is, good afternoon, good evening, dear members of CEC28. My name is Stella Xu, and I'm the Education Chair of the Four South Asian Association. I want to open by thanking the CEC members who have worked tirelessly through a pandemic to advocate for our community. Last winter at the December, January, and February meetings, I requested for CEC28 to condemn the use of racist language that is inclusive of racial slurs against Asians. I'm here before you over a year later with the same request. At the time, in light of the upcoming workshops of D28, I thought it was important for CEC28 to advocate for the use of appropriate language towards all members of our community. 15 months later, the world has changed, but Asian erasure has not. In the District 28 Diversity Planning Group, there were 6 parent representatives and not a single Asian parent member until February, signaling clearly the continued lack of Asian voices in this district. Now, as we continue to discuss important issues like the state tests, GNT, screen programs, feels like we're about to dive into 2019 again. I implore the CEC to not wait any longer. It is important to remember that racism against Asians doesn't always look like a racial slur. It doesn't always look like a violent shove. It doesn't always look like someone saying Kung flu or China virus. It also looks like people expecting Asians to stay quiet. It also looks like being ignored and marginalized. It also looks like using the model minority wedge to focus only on the successful among us rather than the immigrants and those who live in poverty. It also looks like lumping us in with whites and not acknowledging that we too have a voice. These biases were shown again and again during the diversity planning process. Separately, it's worth noting that close to 60% of Asian American students have requested remote learning, and 1 in 4 remote learning students are Asian. While families choose remote for a variety of different reasons, fear of anti-bullying is one of them. According to the Stop AAPI Hate Report, verbal harassment and shunning made up the 2 largest proportions of the total 3,800 bias incidents reported last year. And these incidents can easily transfer to middle school students. I also call upon the CEC28 to address
I'm sorry, this is an inquiry with the interpreter. Would you mind speaking a little bit slower so the interpretation is more accurate, please?
I apologize. I'll back up to the last sentence. I also call upon CEC28 to address anti-Asian bullying in our schools proactively and preemptively. I'm aware that the Chancellor's regulations address this, but that is a reactive action. The parent members of the Russell Sage SLT have put out a statement of support, and as Simone alluded to earlier today, asking parents to speak to their children. We did the same thing for Black Lives Matter last year, and we did it again this year for Stop Asian Hate, and we hope to see other districts do the same. Thank you for your time and your commitment to the children of D28.
Thank you, Stella. Rachwindo was almost going to say time, and then you were finished. Thank you so much, Stella, for always being present and bringing your concerns to us. So we're going to have our last person who wanted to speak tonight, and that was Effie. Effie, can you please unmute yourself? Let me get to you 1 second, please. Effie, let me look for you. Here it is. I just asked you to unmute, Effie. Go ahead.
Thank you. I was just going to say that I'm not able to unmute myself.
There you are. Go for it.
Good evening, everyone. I just posted the link to the CEC for the citywide high schools that represents all 400 plus high schools. I wanted to say, first, let me give a compliment. This year, I've been attending, I think, just about almost every CEC28 meeting, even some of the business ones. And I just love it. I feel members representing us in this district. To my dismay, it's only representing up to 8th grade. I tried to look what happens on the high school level, and I don't know what to do. I feel like it's an embarrassment almost to the city what's going on the high school level. There's only one CEC. I don't know why there's only one CEC representing more than 400 high schools. I think it makes sense to break it down at least somewhat smaller, maybe by borough, I can't imagine that Staten Island high schools are facing exactly the similar issues in our district. It's a different composition of parents, of students, of neighborhoods. If anybody goes to the website that I posted for the citywide CEC, it has not been updated in over 2 years in this crisis we've been facing in the past year. Wouldn't you imagine this is the time to update parents what's going on, to have some meetings? I had a very hard time finding any of the meetings because the website is not publicized. I asked the president of the basically VJ's equivalent on that organization to add my email to their list so that I can get some notifications. I haven't gotten one this year. I'm just asking, I don't know if it's Dr. Pate, but probably Dr. Schneider. I privately messaged her also. I think this is not something that we can wait months and months and years. We have a crisis now. People need information. People need to get involved. This is not something that we should do, 2 or 3 years from now. This is something that, I mean, a website not to be updated. I feel like what excuse can anybody give for that? I asked, by the way, why it's not updated. They told me because they don't have an administrative assistant, which also kind of like even begs the question more. How is it that all high schools in the city combined don't have one administrative assistant to update the website for parents? I don't know what to do. I just think that this is something that parents here, especially parents who have high school students, we really need to push, I think, to make that CEC system much better. I love what we have here at District 28. I really think we should learn from what we're doing here and bring it up to the high school level. Thank you.
Thank you, Effie. And I heard a compliment in there somewhere, I'm just saying. But
there's definitely a big compliment to all you do here. I just want to bring it up to the next level.
thank you so much. Listen, we'll take on the high schools too. If they want to put it on our plate and we'll handle the 6 high schools, I think our council, our members here, we are motivated, we are ready, and we want to fight for all the kids in our community and be a voice for all of them. So take that feedback to them, please. Let them know we are ready and willing and able. All right. Thank you.
You're muted again, BJ.
I just want to give quick shout outs to Jessica Zillo. Can you please unmute Jessica and just say a quick hi? Jessica Zillo is our co-president of President's Council, and she does a lot of work together with our with Barbara Williams, who is also the co-president of President's Council. Jessica, are you there?
Hi, I can't speak right now. Sorry.
Okay, all right. She might be in another meeting too. We also have Bibi Matadin from FACE. She is our FACE liaison. Bibi, can you please just unmute really quickly and give us any updates we may have missed?
Absolutely. Hello, everyone. Hi, Vijay. Thank you. Yeah, I mean, I think most of the updates were shared here. Great presenters, and Dr. Pate covered the new and latest in Grade S. Our 3K programs being extended in all 32 districts. So that's fabulous. And the extension period is now May 28th for application. I do want to also lift that our parent university have some really great courses for the April month. So please visit our parent university site and you can get certificate as well once you've completed those programs. Thank you.
Thank you, Bibi, for all that you do and all the wonderful support you give our team. We are indebted to you, and we're so lucky to have you as our liaison. Thank you. Thank you. And also we have Sherry Algredo from Community Board 9. Sherry, can you say hi really quickly, Sherry?
Hi, Vijay. Sorry, I was having dinner because I didn't know Vijay would call me to speak. I just want to say, I think everyone's been saying exactly what we think. As a former CEC member, and I was also borough appointee for 2 years on CEC27, I know Bibi and I served together. Hi, Bibi.
Hi, Sherry. It's good to hear your voice.
Yes. It's so great seeing the way, I have to say, the last year since you guys have been on Zoom and just basically all the things you guys have chosen to tackle as a CEC. It's just mind-blowing. It's exactly what parents need today, parent representation, and that's exactly what you guys have stood for. And you're really stepping up into parent leadership. And I'm a parent with 2 kids in school, and seeing this is very impressive to me. So I'm very impressed by you guys. I did say to Vijay, make sure you run again. And I have to say the same thing to all the members. Ted Chang, when you spoke today, you were so passionate. And I agree with all your resolution. And I think it's great. And keep doing such a wonderful job and inspiring others. And I hope you guys get to serve more than one term.
Thank you, Sherry. I always make it a point to really acknowledge our community leaders and who stand with us in community, and all these member volunteers and leaders in our community who stand with this community. So, and they choose to come to our meetings. That's why every now and then I'll highlight the ones who come out to here and serve us. We want to thank all of our parents and all our stakeholders in our community for joining us tonight for CEC28 April 1st. It's not a joke, it's serious. We are here. April Fools, we are here. Had we said it was canceled, people think they're joking. No, we're here. It's not an April Fool's thing, right? We are here. We'll always be here. As you all know, this is our second year for all council members on this council. Very soon we'll all be running again to serve you as our community members. This council, this team of people who have been here has been doing a wonderful job, and I have the great pleasure of serving along each and every one of them. Together, we are great in this great 28, right? So to all the families and the members who are here, to all our principals, I saw Principal Greg who was here with us. He always shows up. Thank you so much for being here, even though you're on spring break. And everyone else who was here with us.
Kelly is here.
Work and the commitments that you do. Dr. Payton, sorry.
Also Principal Kelly.
Principal Kelly is here too. Yes, thank you so much for being here, Principal Kelly, and all the other administrative staff, the PCs, parent coordinators, the teachers, all of you. You are the heroes of this community. Together, again, together, we are great, and we are grateful to all our presenters who came on tonight, from Ms. Schneider, Ms. Dubé. Can you correct us how you pronounce your last name? I heard 3 versions tonight.
It's Dubé. It's a Romanian, so it sounds French. Jamie
Very
Dubé.
light. Very nice. So Principal Dubé, Ms. Schneider, we had Danielle Hildreth, we had Officers Soto and Washington, and we are grateful for all of you taking the time to be here with us and to bring news, bring information to us, to all of our interpreters who always join us. They're so always amazing and always smiling and doing their service. We are grateful. We are grateful for what you do. Thank you so much, Dr. Pate. Thank you. To you and to your entire team. And to Sonia, even though Sonia is not here, I will call her out always. Sonia, you're a gem. We are grateful for you. We are thankful for you. This brings us to the end of our meeting tonight.
Vijay, quickly, I'm
yes.
sorry to interrupt. But just a housekeeping issue with the bylaws. If I could have just a moment to just say it, that
yes, go ahead.
Next month we're going to be voting. We've had multiple meetings over the course of the last month to sort of like adopt new bylaws and write them because the DOE, there are all these new regulations and this and that, and so we have to sort of like bring our bylaws into compliance with the regulations. And so we have put together a set of new bylaws, and we're required to sort of post the link to that in this meeting. So I'm doing that right now in the chat. I've just posted the link to the new bylaws. And then what we will do at the next calendar meeting in May is we will vote on approving the new bylaws. Thank you, BJ.
Thank you, Ted, and thank you to all our council members. I want to make it a note that Robert Tamayev is here in spirit. He is here. He is also doing his duties also. What he has to do, but he also joined on, so he's marked present also, Robert Tamayev. So again, happy Passover to everyone, happy Easter, happy Good Friday, happy April 1st. We got through this pandemic. We are still here. There's so much more, but I couldn't say much more. Vaccines, vaccines, vaccines. If you're eligible, if you can, please go get it. Let's get stuff. I miss all of you, so let's get back in person again, right? Please. Let's do this together. Get your vaccines if you have any questions. And lastly, Crystal Weiss. Crystal, can you just say hi really quickly? Unmute yourself and say hi.
Hello, everyone. Crystal Weiss, Administrative Assistant. It's so good to see everyone here during the break. And we hope to see you again next month.
Crystal Weiss is the the machine, the motor behind us all, right? We have requests, we have this, we have that, and she makes it happen. She's the one sending you the emails, receiving your names, doing all of it, and dealing with me, Crystal, right? Thank you so much for all that you do, Crystal. You're phenomenal. No wonder you ended up with us, because we want only the best, and you are the best. So it's only appropriate you are with us. So my dear friends, the Grade 28, thank you, good night. We're gonna start our business meeting by 8:30. You're welcome to stay on.